GoCom Radio, the people's voice.
The best fear is not that we are inadequate. The best fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant? Who am I to be gorgeous? Who am I to be talented? Who am I to be fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? My name is Islammiyah Kadejoshi Impacts. You call me the radio girl. I welcome you to maiden edition of Women Who Dared on GoCom Radio. Women Who Dared. There are no time for what society say they could or couldn't do. They had no time for what the society want them to be or what want to form them to be. And they will say the word bend before they did that. Women who dared. They are doing amazing, daring, inspiring things, but they are rarely mentioned or celebrated. This show features women in our community who have risked their lives for adventure, many of whom you may not know, but all of whom you will want to know. You will want to know a woman who is extraordinary that I am meeting this afternoon. You will want to know this woman who is inspiring new generations of women to explore, discover, persist, succeed, and be who they really want to be. It is my honor to meet Mary Alacoque Ryan on the very first edition of Women Who Dared. Good afternoon, Mary.
Good afternoon, Islammiyah.
I am extremely, really honored to have you on the show today.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here.
You are an inspiring woman.
Oh, thank you very much.
And you just have to be our first guest.
Oh, I'm very honored, really honored.
Because Mary has a magazine where she celebrates Women Who Dared. And that is the title of a magazine with two Gerard. And we have Women Who Dared on GoCom Radio now. So who else qualifies, deserves, worthy to be our first guest on this show? Mary, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Islammiyah. Thank you. And thank you for the very inspiring introduction. That was amazing.
Thank you so much. So we want to learn from you today.
Well, hopefully I have something to teach. I think you have a lot to teach me as well. So it's
a lot of women, we find it difficult to, we have vision all the time. Like it's always been there as they are.
Yeah.
But at a point in our lives when we realize society wants us to dress this way, walk this way, do this at this particular age, you cannot do this because you're at this particular age, we shrink. We begin to play small. But people like you consistently, you dared. And you keep daring. And today you are multitasking. You are multi-talented. You are a columnist, you are editor, you are a researcher. As if that is not enough, you are an author. You are a post-primary, you used to be a post-primary school teacher. We are going to talk about that. You are a visionary. Yet you are a mom, you are a wife, and you are a friend. I don't know how you put all this together, but we're about to find out. So sit tight, guys. This is Mary Alacoque Ryan on the Women Who Dared this Monday afternoon, our first edition. It is past 1 now. And you are listening on GoComRadio.ie. If you are listening alone, why? What will be your gain if you refuse to invite your friends, especially women and young girls? They are about to be inspired. I am prepared to be inspired, to be motivated. You should be, and I am asking you, actually urging you to invite a friend, then invite a friend, then invite another friend to join us on Women Who Dared.
And you don't know what you do. So you say you have a lover, and you love her like no other. So you buy her a diamond that someone has died. Oh, don't you think there's something wrong with this? Tell me, who's responsible for what we teach our children? Is it the internet or the stars on television? Why, oh, why? Why, oh, why, oh, oh.
GoCom Radio, the people's voice.
Welcome back. You are listening to the first edition of Women Who Dared on Welcome Radio, and I have Mary Alacoque Ryan on the show with me this lovely afternoon. Mary, tell us about your background.
Okay, I am from Galway City. I am the eldest of 4 children, and I've had a little bit of a think about this because you very kindly sent me the questions. So I think that a lot of my life has been inspired by the fact that at a fairly young age, I was sort of thrust into the position of mother's helper.
Okay.
You know, the way it was in those days, in the 60s and 70s, a lot of the time the eldest daughter took a lot of responsibility. And I certainly did. And I think it has turned me into sometimes not such a nice person because I can be bossy and so on. And sometimes maybe too caring and too concerned. Yeah, so I give my siblings, I have 3 siblings, I sometimes give them a pain in the neck because I'm too concerned about them. But having said that, it has made me very aware of people being vulnerable and so on. And I've gone through life, you know, a lot of things have happened to everybody in life. And I have seen people suffering from discrimination, and it has informed my activities. So I don't know if we've emailed each other. I don't know if you're aware of the little quote at the end of my email. One of the problems, or the big problem with the world, is that some people consider they're more equal than others. Yeah, and that to me is wrong. I just think everybody should have a fair share of the cake. I would consider myself a socialist, somebody who likes to share with people.
Not a feminist.
Yes, well, absolutely, 100% a feminist. That's my first calling, a feminist, definitely, a feminist socialist, yeah.
That's great, Mary. You talk about having gone through different phases of life. Yeah. You've gone through the phase of being a wife. No, not from a wife, no way. A daughter, be a girl, as a point, a wife, mom, a grandmother, right?
Yeah.
And you talk about you just talk about growing up and growing up as a mom helper and caring and all that. So you work as a field worker on growing up in Ireland. Mm-hmm. So will you be able to compare what's growing up life was like for you and what you see now, like growing up now for younger generation? Would there be any comparison? Would you like to talk about that, especially on the work you did going as a field worker on growing up in Ireland?
Yeah, it's most interesting. First of all, I'll briefly describe my own situation regarding education. I had a very privileged upbringing. I had a good education. I went to university, but when I look back on it, there were lots of things that were not desirable for young people. When we look at children today, we see that the whole Irish education system has gone from being curriculum-based in my day to being child-centered these days. So, for instance, in my role as another field worker with children's school lives, I have been in classrooms and I have heard and seen the way things are done. There's an echo here and it's sort of disturbing me, Islammiyah, that my voice is echoing back to me. So it's distracting me. Sorry. Is that okay? Yeah, that's better. Yeah. So I had, for instance, I was always very bad at maths, and I actually wrote a column for the Tumbad, having been into a classroom where I saw children being taught how to do mathematics in a very practical way. We were taught tables. We just did rote tables. So in other words, everything was just sit in your desk all day long, learn, put information into these little vessels, and it'll come out in the exams. Whereas these days, children they get up and they walk around the classroom. They learn in a very active way, Educate Together. I know your children go to Educate Together.
Yeah.
That is a fantastic model from my point of view, because it's about everybody together, different cultures, different religions, learning from each other, teaching each other, and learning from the teacher in a very positive, life-enforcing way.
A practical way, really.
Yeah. So very different. Very different.
Thank you, Mary, for taking us through that. And we are in education, and I don't know if I can call you an educationist, because not all teachers are actually educationists, but you have done a lot of work as apart from being a teacher, you specialize in English as an additional language. Plurilingualism, that's tongue twisting for me.
Yes.
Interculturalism. And would you like to talk to us about that? What is English as an additional language, plurilingualism, and interculturalism?
So in the 2000s, early 2000s, I was working in Castleknock Community College as a second level teacher.
Okay.
And we started to get students who did not have any English whatsoever into our classrooms. Mm-hmm. And we were all thrown completely, because we had never experienced that in Ireland. I was in Dublin 15, so there were lots of newly arrived people, and we were distracted. We didn't know what to do. And then one day I had this very brilliant idea. I thought to myself, if we could set up a department on parallel lines to a learning support department, and turn it into a language support department. So I remember going down to my deputy principal, and I said it to him, and his face lit up, and he said, "That's a fantastic idea." So because I was an assistant principal, they allowed me to set up within the school a language centre, as they called it.
Okay.
I didn't like the term myself, but anyway, that's what they called it. But so it was like a mini school within a school. Now, it happens a lot these days that nobody takes any notice of this kind of method of teaching. But we brought our newly arrived students into this little department, assessed them, and then found ways of communicating teaching to them. And in 2006, there was no help. There was very little help from the Department of Education at the time. We might have had one little temp course, and really it didn't teach us much about how to teach English as an additional language, or EAL, or plurilingualism, or interculturalism. And again, I had another very bright idea. Why not set up a language support association for teachers? So I co-founded ELSTA, ELSTA, English Language Support Teachers Association, which has just been disbanded, in fact, sadly. Very sad. Yeah, the department has taken over the work. But anyway, that's another big long story for another day. So we set it up, and we started to train ourselves. We got funding. We charged teachers to become members of ELSTA, and we found experts to come and teach us. And they came from all over the world. We had people like Jim Collins from Canada, who's one of the greatest linguists you will find.
Wow.
So we suddenly found ourselves on the cutting edge, if you like, of EAL, learning and teaching. And we did that for several years. And then we discovered plurilingualism. You said it was a tongue twister. It was a mind twister for us. What is plurilingualism? And it's about the multitude of languages that exist. In Tuam, for instance, we speak every day. We did a little survey, about 50 languages, mother tongue languages, every single day in Tuam. And a lot of the time we're wasting that resource. We're wasting the resource. We're not actually using it. We're thinking, how are we going to get around this problem? When in fact, what we should be saying is, how are we going to use this treasure trove that's on our doorstep
to our own advantage?
Exactly. There are so many things we could do with all those languages. So, and again, I know you'll be coming on to Tuam Embracing Diversity, so I'll leave it to then. But we are trying to find ways of taking advantage of that.
Okay. So we are going to get there, but I cannot but see the passion in you, when you were talking about what you did at that time. But you understand English language, you speak English language. What inspired you to sit down and think of two brilliant, projects like that to help people, to help children really, who came into school with absolute no knowledge of English language, and you were willing to help them? You went all the way to set this up, to the extent of contacting like professional linguists across the globe, not only within Ireland. Why would you do that?
You know, Islammiyah, I don't know why I did that. But I've always had that inclination. I'll give you a little story that will take 1 minute to tell. When I've been thinking about this in relation to you making the program. I was in 5th class, so I was about 10 years of age or 11, and we had children from the mother and baby home. That's another story for another day, I know that. But we had children from Lennaboy, in our case it was, in our classrooms with us. And one year I remember thinking, they don't ever celebrate Halloween the way we do.
Yeah.
So I organized families to take out students, individual students from Lennaboy. And they all arrived, and we duly did that. And I remember 3 of them were left because 2 families didn't turn up. 3 of them were left at the end of the time. And I ended up taking 3 of them back to my home. But my mother was fantastic and she was delighted. But I would have forgotten that, except I found a letter a few years ago thanking me for that.
Oh, that.
So obviously, I'm not saying this looking for praise. I'm just saying this is the kind of person I am.
You've always been.
Yeah, I said, yes, I am compassionate. I try to be my family might say, I wish you would be compassionate with us, but I try to be compassionate and to put myself in the situation of arriving in a country and not speaking the language and I was in Korea once visiting my stepdaughters and who were teaching there. And I remember trying to buy milk, and we went into the supermarket and we were looking for milk. No, they hadn't a clue what we were looking. And I went, milking the cow.
Describing.
And they were like, what's a cow? What is that? They couldn't think goodness, because it came in a container to them. So when you see that, and when you realize those students are sitting in front of me in the classroom, and I'm trying to teach them Shakespeare, I'm thinking,
what's that?
Exactly. So I think we have to empathize with the people in our community and try and do our best to help them to survive and contribute to our community.
Thank you so much, Ryan. You are fantastic at it.
And thanks.
You're fantastic at it.
Thank
well
you.
done. I'm still in education.
Okay.
And you were a coordinator for Human Rights Friendly Schools projects. That's an Amnesty International project. Global pilot projects in Castleknock Community College. You talked about that. You were also a member of the National Advisory Committee for Pathways to Parental Leadership. That is an Immigrant Council of Ireland project. Those are really unique and important educational projects you've been involved in, just to mention a few. So I'm guessing you'll be in position to analyze the challenge of education in Ireland today.
Well, I'm not sure that I'm in a position to analyze it, but I'll try in my own little way.
What will you say are some of the challenges
in education
in Ireland today?
Well, I guess the huge thing is social media and the problems that they present in the classroom. For the teachers, first and foremost, I'm going to look. I remember before I left teaching in 2012, I left teaching early. One of the things that put me off was to see myself being videoed, and at that stage, I didn't even have a mobile phone, probably myself. I may have just had it. And I didn't know where that video was going. Now things have changed and things have straightened up. That's the first thing. So that's from the point of view of the teachers. The second thing, from the point of view of the students, I think there's a huge problem with the way things are being taught. I don't think that our students are being taught to think critically. I think critical thinking, and I know you're going to ask me about the Radicalization Awareness Network. I was part of that. Yes. And I remember we spent the whole day talking about what's the most important thing to teach our students in education. What is the most important thing? And you can say, oh, maybe English or mathematics, right? And we concluded at the end of the day that it is critical thinking. I think we have to teach our students to think outside the box, to develop the strength to be able to look at social media and not respond to the awful things they see in it. I mean, I don't like censorship, but some of the things our children are seeing are absolutely horrific. Yeah. And is that creating people who are violent, who are sexual predators in our society? So I think critical thinking is really important. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ryan. Talking about critical thinking, it's I saw something on social media recently. It's meant to be funny, but actually, I thinking back now, I don't think it's actually funny. It's the reality of the fact that we need more of critical thinking in our education system. Somebody posted like a butterfly, labeling the names of all the parts of the body of a butterfly. And it was asked, and the person was like, this was where we spent hours on, like years on in secondary school, in college, in Nigeria, labeling in biology class. And it was not asking that, okay, looking back now, in what way did labeling this, learning how to label cockroach, butterflies, benefit me as a person? And it was looking at it like a waste of time. And I think there are so many aspects. I will agree with you that there are so many aspects of education these days that will never be applicable to every student. I always say that a student that will become a broadcaster like me will probably not need physics, and maybe a physician will probably not need maybe French language or another language course and stuff. There will be students in arts, in science, in writers, singers, and they will go into different fields. But then the school we put them in a box. They have to learn something. Then who is teaching them critical thinking to now fly and be who they really want to be? So I just tell that story just to collaborate with the fact that I agree with you that there's a need for critical thinking in school. I want to move away from education, but before I do, something happened in Ireland, and I want to share that story. So I'm going to take a break now. Maybe if you want to take water, and we are going to come back. You are listening to Women Who Dared on Go Radio, and we have Mary Alacoque Ryan on the Women Who Dared first edition this beautiful Monday afternoon. Thank you for staying tuned. Invite a friend and tell a friend to tell a friend. We are here.
GoCom Radio, the people's voice.
She has a lover in her daddy. She can't tell nobody till she makes the evening news. For there is fire on the mountain and there is nobody. Oh, there is fire on the mountain top and no one is surrounding. Oh, yes. One day the river will overflow. Ain't there be nowhere for us to go. And we will run, wishing we had the fire. Oh, for there is fire on the mountain. Yeah, yeah, and there is nobody. Oh, there is fire on the mountain and no one is surrounding.
Welcome back. You are still listening to Women Who Dared on GoCom Radio, and we are talking education because we have an educationist, a retired teacher, an editor in the house, and I want to share this story with you, Mary. A young lady gained admission to university to study business law in Ireland recently, and like every girl, like you, like me, how happy we were when we, gained admission to college. She was ambitious, she was excited. That's her dream becoming a reality. She went all out for it. But not so fast because she had earlier been assessed as an EU student because she lives in Ireland. Her mom lives in Ireland to pay 3,150 euro. But later she was called that she would need to be reassessed. And when she was reassessed, she said she would no longer be qualified to pay as an EU student or as a non-EU. A non-EU fee, guess what, Mary? It's 14,000 euro. Our mom, who is our sole sponsor, has been in Ireland since 2016. The young lady joined her in 2021 through family reunification. Now the education ministry is saying, the law is saying, the system is saying that she has to wait 4 years before she can access education. She needs 4 years to qualify as EU student. And this means that she's been attending classes. This means she has to stop attending classes, put a pause on her life for 3 years, or else if her mother can cough out for 10,000 euro. She's a single mom. She doesn't have that money. I don't know what you want to say to this.
Well, I experienced the same situation myself when I was in Castleknock. It's horrific. And can I ask you, do you know what age this young woman is?
She should be in her early 20s.
Early 20s. Yeah. So she's probably being assessed as an individual rather than a child.
A child, okay.
I think this needs investigation. I think we maybe should contact a local politician about it. I'm not sure there will be a positive outcome, but I think if there isn't a positive outcome, it's something that needs a campaign because it's been going on for a long time and it is thwarting young people like this young woman who will contribute very positively to her society if she goes through, you said she's studying law and business.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? She's going to contribute very positively. Instead, you're going to have a disaffected young person who's going to be hanging around for 4 years looking for jobs in coffee shops and so on. And by the time the 4 years are over, she may have decided not to go back to college.
Exactly.
Who knows? It's awful. I'd really be interested in talking to you about it afterwards, just to see if there's anything we can do about this specific case.
Okay.
Is that okay? Because I have no answers.
Yeah, that's fine. That's
very
fine.
sad. Yeah.
I know you are in education. You are still very much interested in education issues. I just remember that, and I just thought I should bring that up.
Yeah. Before we move from education, would you mind if I mentioned one other thing?
Please,
that I
go
forgot
ahead.
to mention when we were talking about ELSTA. So there were two things that we decided at the end of my time in teaching, that EAL students would benefit from. EAL, English as an additional language. So students who do not grow up speaking English. There are two things. One is CLIL, content and language integrated learning. Now, it's very well known since the early 2000s, and it is where the language of the subject as well as the subject are taught. The two are taught. What we normally do is teach the subject. So you have students going in doing English, biology, the different subjects, and they're not being taught the language of the subjects. So, it's something that all students would benefit from. That's the first thing. And the second thing is students who are EAL students, they should be taught to scaffold their learning. So what do we mean by that? So I have a group of students in front of me, and I have maybe 10 different languages being spoken in their homes. They're trying to learn English. They're trying to learn Shakespeare from me or a novel. So I say, okay, what I want you to do is to go home and research this topic. Let's pick the poet Patrick Kavanagh.
Yeah.
Research Patrick Kavanagh in your first language. Learn it in your first language. And then, when you know it, come into the English part of it. So it's much easier for students to access learning in that way. They use a scaffold to access the English part of it. But they start learning it in their own language.
In their own language.
Eventually they won't need to do that. But when they're new to the country, they do need some kind of systems. They were the two great findings.
Okay. Thank you, Mary, for teaching us that. I know we're going to learn from you today. Thank you so much. And I want us to talk a little bit about Women Are Dead, your magazine. Congratulations on the award.
Thank you.
You won the Supplement of the Year in Local Island Media Award. That's a great one.
It's the Oscars of local media. I know. We're so happy.
I know. Congratulations.
But, as I said when I was accepting the award, it's actually the 150 women, up to 150, who have been profiled in the 3 magazines who deserve this, because women sat down with me and shared very intimate stories. We didn't always print everything they said.
Everything,
they have the last say on what's printed.
Yeah.
But I was listening to the radio this morning, and I heard this interviewer saying, she was describing how women connect with each other.
Okay.
How we do. And I know you and I did that. At least I feel that. From the time I met you, click, I want this woman in my life. But so this Claire McKenna in News Talk said, oh, this woman, her feet were barely in the footwell of the car when I had just thrown all my emotional life onto her lap. So we actually share things with each other very quickly, don't we? And sometimes with women we don't know very well. I mean, there's a trust involved, and let's hope that most of the women are trustworthy. But we do tell very intimate things. So, in the Women Who Dared, I just find it a most unbelievable project, because for a few days, like, you have done a bit of research on me, and I'm flattered. I research the women I'm interviewing as well. I find out as much as I can about them. So I'm living in that person's head for a day or two. Then the interview comes, and then when I'm writing up the story, I can't get that woman out of my head. I'm in that woman's face. And some of them, last year we had 3 centenarians. So 3 people. One was not quite a centenarian, but we gave her an honour. She was a few months off being 100. But she's still, the 3 of them still with us. One was 104. But talking to them about their lives growing up in the early 1900s. Was it in the early 1900s, isn't it? That was so amazing. And then the youngest in the last year was a woman from Islammiyah Community College, who is into the environment, and she was just fantastic as well. I won't say she was any better than the centenarians, because she wasn't. She's responding to modern times. The centenarians have their very special stories to tell as well. And then in between, you have all of these amazing women, like the year before, this year, 2 young women launched Women Who Dared 3. And they were we chose those because they were the youngest profiles in Women Who Dared 2. And one of them was in Evita last night. I think you're going to interview her, Catherine Keane.
We have our pencil down.
Keep an eye on that space, because she is going to be amazing. She is so dynamic and so. She's a great person. You can see she plays the squeeze box. I've seen her in these. You saw her too.
I saw her too. It's magic.
She's magic. And when you see all these women, it's a privilege for me. I just love it so much. It's like a gift that's been given to me. And I thank the Chamber for allowing me to do it.
And I think you use the gift well, Mary. Because a lot of women do all that. But society will tell you the place of the woman is in the kitchen. And for a project like that, you are changing the narrative. You are giving them the exposure, the feasibility that they need. That you may think she's limited to the kitchen, or to just being a mom and a wife, and that is not all. But look at this, and that woman, and be wowed at what they do. And I think we need to do more of that.
I agree with
because
you.
Even apart from the society, even we as women, sometimes we don't see ourselves. We feel like, okay, I'm just doing it. We play small. Like I would say, okay, for instance, your dress is very lovely. For those who watch on YouTube later, you will confirm that. But if if a woman is walking up to you and saying, Mary, you look lovely today, I love your dress. Mary, you should say thank you. Or another woman will say, the dress, I don't like that. Even if I have bought it in pennies for €5, it doesn't matter. If it suits me, it looks good on me, and you are paying me a compliment saying, Islammiyah, I like your dress, I like the scarf and all that. I should accept that. I should embrace that. And I think your project is another opportunity, it's another reminder for women to accept ourselves. And every little achievement we make in life, we should see them as being worthy.
I totally agree with you. But we were taught to be the person you described, pushed back, and oh no, it's just an old silly old dress. I paid €5 for the pennies or whatever. That's the kind of culture we grew up in. But I'm delighted to say that we are now in a culture where that's changing, isn't it? Not for everybody.
Exactly.
And maybe, as you said, magazines like Women Who Dared might encourage women to look at themselves and to realise we are really the cohesion in society, aren't we? We keep everything going. When the men are outside fighting the wars, and I'm using that as a metaphor, they're off in their offices or off in their workplaces. We're at home, looking after our children, keeping the meals on the table. We're the cohesion, as I said, in our society, aren't we?
And that is good. Well done, Mary. I can't wait to meet other women that you're going to work in on.
Looking forward to it.
And that will bring me to no shoes in summer. I know I couldn't find anything on this. I just told myself that I'll wait to learn about what that was about. So what is No Shoes in Summer about?
So No Shoes in Summer grew out of a class project. I'll get you a copy of it.
Okay.
I guess it's hard. They're out of print now. So when I was in Grange Community College in Donamead, one day I was in class and there was we were dealing with a poem about grandparents. And it was like a light going off in my head. I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to ask my students to connect with their grandparents and ask their grandparents to give them their life story, whatever they wanted to do. In came these contributions, Islammiyah.
Wow.
That made my hair stand on end. It was fantastic. So we brought out little home school-based magazines like Women Who Dare, that size. They were called Spinning Yarns. We had Spinning Yarns 1, Spinning Yarns 2, Spinning Yarns 3, and we did a Christmas edition. And I could see the actual information that was in it. And the fact that a lot of these people, their story dies with them. It's such a shame. So that's how one time I was thinking, we have to bring this a little bit further. And then I was given the responsibility of teaching a transition year. And I thought, okay, this is what we'll do. We'll connect with an older group. So we connected with an active retirement group. And we worked with them first. And then we threw it out to the nation through the Gay Byrne program. I'm not sure if you knew Gay Byrne, did you? He's been dead for a while. Anyway, he interviewed me and we got 1 million words into the school. I was overwhelmed by it, I have to say.
Wow.
Yeah, and out of it came, we obviously had to edit it down. We guaranteed that everybody would be printed. So some of them are really tiny little contributions.
Okay.
You'll see when you get the copy.
Okay.
But they are brilliant. There's such nuggets of information and, stories in that book. And it won the school section of Guinness Living Dublin Awards in about 1996. I can't remember exactly, but it was on the bestsellers list.
Wow!
For about 3 weeks or 4 weeks in a row.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well done, Mary.
Thanks, Islammiyah.
Yeah, and so you've worked a lot in education, but at the same time, you did not limit yourself. You've through education worked with groups, grandmothers, young people, youth, different, even people with language barriers and all that. You've done a lot. So I'm not surprised that you are volunteering in the community now, and you are putting together what you call TUM Embracing Diversity, as well as volunteering with a lot of groups in Tube and across Galway. What is TUM Embracing Diversity about?
Okay, so it's first of all, I need to say that we are part of TUM Tidy Town.
Okay.
So we're a subcommittee of them.
Okay.
And we're also part of a group called, our policies are being formed by a group called BLIN. BLIN is Be With Us, Come With Us. So it's a group, we've come together, Zita Narvilieni and myself have started it off, and now other people are joining us, including yourself, Islammiyah, which I'm very happy to say.
Honored to be part of it.
Yeah, and it is about providing a space for our multicultural, plurilingual people who are living in Tube. Providing a real valid space. We have 3 projects under the banner Tube Embracing Diversity. The first one is called the Zeta Project, which is at the moment it's operating in Super Value in Tube. So if you go into Super Value, you will see a big poster with a list of the languages being spoken in the store. And you will identify the language from the assistant's name badge. So for instance, Zita herself works in Super Value. So she has Zita written on her badge, and underneath she has hello in Lithuanian. She's from Lithuania. And we're hoping to spread that idea that we will actually have a situation where people arrive in Tube and somebody says, long term, we're hoping to have mentors with different community groups. That's a long term one. You can go down to Super Value and shop in Arabic or shop in Lithuanian. Can you imagine the freedom that would give you? So you would go down and find the person. And of course, we have a Maureen who speaks Irish there. And of course, Irish as well. I attempt to shop in Irish, not my bad Irish, but that's possible as well. So that's one of them. And the second one is the Beata Project, which is Anne Murphy, a local woman, is going to coordinate that. and she's going to go into a school, and she's going to with the transition years, we think,
Yeah.
it hasn't been finalized yet, try and transform the public spaces within the school
Yeah.
to reflect the diversity of the school population. So if there are, for instance, 20 languages being spoken in the school, we need to see those languages up on the walls. We need to see examples of the countries where our children come from, so that the children who are in those classrooms feel that they're at home and that they're welcomed in that school. And the final project is Circle of Friends. On the second Monday of every month, we meet in the Galway Roast,
Yeah.
and it's open to everybody, and we just chat and talk. And that has lots of possibilities. We're going to have a Christmas party. So we'll get
can't wait for that.
Yeah, exactly. We'll ask people just to bring little bits of food, and we'll share food and share talks and ideas and so on. And so that's to embracing diversity.
Well done. I think that is like to embracing diversity, like lots of projects under it, like 3 projects under it, part of the Tidy Town. But yet, when we look at the work, the objective, the vision of these 3 projects, they're actually magnificent.
Oh, thank you, Islammiyah.
Well done.
Thanks so much.
I can't wait I'm honored to be part of to embracing diversity,
Uh-huh.
and I can't wait for us to start, making magic and
That's a
impacting
good one.
our community.
Yeah.
Mary, we have talked a lot today about your work in education, in media, in the community. Now, as a person, we want to get to know you. We want to take some nuggets away. And when I come back, I'll be asking Mary, how dare she? Isn't she ever afraid of stepping up to say, yes, this is the next thing. This is what I'm going to do. And walking in and getting it done. Like you, like me, if you are a woman and you are still afraid to step out, to rise, to speak, to stand up for yourself, when I come back, you don't want to miss this nugget. We are going to be grabbing from Mary Alacoque Ryan.
Thank you, Islammiyah. Thank you, Islammiyah. I think you're building me up too much, Islammiyah.
Go Com Radio, the people's voice.
Well done. Well done.
Hey, mama, oh, my good friend. They say, show me your friend, tell you how. Oh, my friend, I know fitting guy. It was the good times we shared, never ever ever forget.
What's your favorite music? If you have a favorite musician, do you have a favorite musician?
Oh, Joni Mitchell.
Okay, can you spell that for me?
Yeah.
Can you spell the name? Can you spell it for me?
JONI MITCH. Oh, do you know what? No, change it to Julie Feeney, a local woman. Julie Feeney. JULIE FEENEY. She's another one who could interview actually.
Okay.
Yeah. And possibly beautiful. Just because she's local. Did you get her?
They say blood
Joni Mitchell would do it if you can't speak.
I have Judy Santos. We got nothing on said Emily. Which of them you want?
For Julie,
perhaps Santos.
Santos, yeah, thanks, because it's relevant to what we were saying.
Okay. It's not playing.
That's a different person now.
Mm. Okay.
I don't know who she is.
I got impossibly
Beautiful.
beautiful.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fabulous. Yeah. Thank you.
I know not your heart or your mind or your name, your Achilles heel or from where you came. Though it's written in the stars, my desires will flame. I might take a pass on what the stars are saying, 'cause you're impossibly beautiful. Is that 'cause I'm waiting? Is that 'cause I'm looking? Or is it just 'cause you are? You're impossibly beautiful. Is that 'cause I'm waiting? Is that 'cause I'm looking? Or is it just 'cause you are? The indignant look as you catch the eye of the onlooker caught in a gaze at thine. As you're innocently flaunting your beauty up, you've no idea how beautiful you are. 'Cause you're impossibly beautiful. Is that 'cause I'm waiting? Is that 'cause I'm looking? Or is it just 'cause you are? You're impossibly beautiful. Is that 'cause I'm waiting? Is that 'cause I'm looking? Or is it just 'cause you are? You're not laid so bare by the Vanity Fair to tamper with your charms, oxygen in a jar.
GoCom Radio, the people's voice.
You are welcome back, and we are still on Women Ordered, and we have a woman ordered, Mary Alacoque Ryan, and this is the last segment of the show, and we want to get to know her. You seem fearless, you go for it.
You go
Is
for
it
it.
that you don't, you
Is
are
it
never
that
afraid?
you are
or
never afraid?
Have you
Or
had
have you
challenges
had
in life?
challenges in life?
And if yes,
And if
how did you
yes, how did you
overcome them?
overcome them?
Loads of challenges in my life, Islammiyah.
But I remember
somebody saying to me years and years and years ago, you can only be an activist if you have no fear of losing something. So when I was teaching, for instance, it was years before I became an assistant principal. Now, I didn't ever go in for it because I knew, well, I wouldn't get it because I was a troublemaker. So
No way.
yeah, and I was teaching in a school in my early days where the students suffered a lot. I felt they were discriminated against, and I hated that. I found that so, and I hate the idea as well of teachers seeing themselves as buddies of the students. It wasn't that situation, but I just tried to change things. For instance, we didn't have a break at 11. They got rid of the break at 11 o'clock. I won't go into too many details because we're under time pressure now. But I became involved in a campaign. For that, I got transferred to a different college.
Oh,
And that was major. But so it's the kind of thing, you have to take the consequences of your actions. I was a trade unionist, and I stood up against the trade union because I felt that they were not doing us any favors. And if you look at teaching today, you will see that they have left it in a pretty mess. And we had a good situation at one stage, but now so many of our teachers are temporary or have part-time jobs. Very few get full-time permanent pensionable jobs. We fought against this big time. For that, we were called troublemakers. And I suppose, if you like, my mother might have been ashamed of me every now and then because I stood up against people and I wasn't afraid to say things out. I remember being on the podium once at a TUI Congress, and the assistant secretary was sitting there talking, and I turned and I said, "Peter, are you listening to me?" And he goes, "Oh, yeah." And I said, "You can't be listening and talking at the same time." Oh, that's very cheeky. That's very cheeky.
oh my goodness.
But there was a point in it, wasn't
Yeah,
there?
yeah.
I was making, this is my
It's a disrespect.
Exactly,
Really.
exactly.
Disrespect.
So I don't fear people. To tell you the truth, I have very little fear in my body.
Then what is your greatest fear? That little one.
Yeah.
What will be the greatest of them?
For my children, for my child. I have one child and 3 stepchildren, 2 grandchildren, and I fear for them when they're out at night and they're not in, and I'm like mother hen, I'm worried about them. Where is my little chicken? And it's ridiculous at this age that my grown-up children I worry about them. I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. What will you tell your 13-year-old self, Mary?
I would say life will not turn out the way you want it to necessarily. We all had really big plans, and sometimes you're thwarted in your plans. But if you're thwarted, if something doesn't work out, don't get anxious about it. Know that the universe is looking after you. Know that when something doesn't happen, sometimes it's for the very best reason. Every morning, this is what I would say to my 13-year-old, because I've started doing it now. Open your arms in the supplicant position, as if you're praying to the heavens, and say, I open my arms to the bounty of the universe, and watch the universe look after you. It will. Don't get thwarted when your plans, like that young woman who can't go to college.
Yeah.
If we will try and work on that together, you and I.
Okay.
But if it doesn't work out, there's something else there that's going to be a good something good will come out
from it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mary. I wish you can repeat that, but she will not repeat that. But you have to listen back to this on our website, gocomedy.org, and listen back that you will not, life will not turn out the way you always want them to be. But even at that, Mary said, know that the universe is looking after you, and always open your arms in supplication to the bounty of the universe, and you just wait and see it happen. And I think that is powerful. I don't know what your own takeaway is going to be today, but that will be one of mine. Maybe we are going to get another one, because now, Mary, you're 70-year-old self, or maybe 80, or will you be telling this adorable woman?
I thought about it, and I thought, I want to stay the same, more or less, continue contributing to my community. But if I ever have a walking stick, I'm going to use that walking stick. Going downtown, and when all the young people, sorry, young people, I love you dearly, but you don't see us older people, I will use that walking stick, push it out ahead and say, clear the way. I'm approaching.
Oh my goodness. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mary. I wish we can go on and on and on, but then it is not like how long you dish out nuggets or you sit down and advise people. It is what you are able to take as a listener now, and as a learner, what you are able to take out of it. Maybe we have 1 hour on this show, but even if it is one sentence that somebody somewhere is going to take away from this, I think that is fantastic. I think that will be very useful. So for anyone that is listening right now, and she needs your advice, like a woman, I don't know what age is it, what will that advice be? And that will be our parting shots for today.
Great. Reach out to somebody. Reach out to somebody. There are lots of very well-intentioned people in different communities. Don't be alone, and don't be frightened. Reach out and you will get the help. Open your arms to the bounty of the universe.
Open your arms to the bounty of the universe, and the universe sure is looking after you. Mary today has also said that she's a very compassionate person. And when you are compassionate, you are sincere, you have integrity, and you can do whatever you set your mind on. Another thing that has also helped Mary is that she's never afraid. She has very little fear in her, except for our children. And that's also very helpful. Sometimes it is not the task that is impossible. It is the fear in you that is making it impossible. And if you can look beyond that fear, I agree with Mary that you can get a lot of things done. Mary, how can we thank you for being on Women Who Did, our first guest on this show today.
It's a pleasure.
So
pleasure,
much.
and it's a great idea. Congratulations, Islammiyah.
Thank you so much. You are not only impacting this generation, you are impacting, you are teaching, you are encouraging, inspiring many generations to come. And I think that is fantastic. And I think that is what everybody cannot do it, but anybody that is able to try should just be like that. You cannot live your life for yourself alone. You live your life for a lot of people, not only women, And I think that is great. And that is why we are honored to have you on Women Who Date today.
Thank you, Islammiyah.
Thank
Very
you so much,
sincerely.
Mary.
Thank you.
Are you a woman who dared? Do you know a woman who dared? Do you like them to tell the story? Would you like to tell your story? You can send us email on info@gocomradio.ie, and I'll be happy to sit with you, learn from you, and together we are going to impact our generations, many of them to come. Islamiah Kadejo is my name. You call me the radio girl. Like I always say, love yourself, believe in yourself, take good care of yourself. Pamper yourself, take yourself seriously. Never accept anyone's definition of you. Forgive yourself if you have to, and keep yourself safe. And always remember to smile. Smile is therapy, smile is charity, and smile is love. Good afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.
GoCom Radio,
Fantastic,
the
Islammiyah.
people's voice.
Absolutely amazing. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Mary.
Oh gosh,
Thank you so much.
the privilege and the honor was mine, Islammiyah. Thank you.
Thank you so much.